glad everyone can join us. We're about to launch into a very short 6-minute video, and then we'll begin our formal presentation. Good afternoon. I'm so glad everyone could join us. My name is Diana. I'm the parent coordinator here at Midtown West, and I want to throw it right over to our amazing principal, Kay.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Kay, and I am the principal of Midtown West. Just a little bit of history of myself. I was a student teacher here back in I don't know when, and from there became a substitute teacher for a year, then taught in the 2-3 loop for about 18 years with my partner Yolene, who's still here, and then became principal. I think this is my 8th year now. And Diana, if you want to give a little bit about yourself also.
Absolutely. So like I said, my name is Diana. I'm the parent coordinator, and this is my 3rd year here. My predecessor retired right around COVID, and before that, I was a parent here. My child attended Midtown West since kindergarten. We absolutely loved being parents here. We got, rolled up our sleeves and got involved right away. Midtown West is a great school for that. You can be as involved as you'd like. You are automatically a part of the PTA when your child accepts a seat here. And I was on the PTA as co-president of fundraising for 3 years. Then my last 3 years, I was president, co-president. And then when my predecessor retired, I stayed on to be parent coordinator. So I'm really familiar with the school. I know what you're going through. I feel like I was just sitting where you are a couple of years ago. So I am a good person to be a parent advocate and know exactly what you're going through.
Okay, so a little bit about Midtown West. We are not a zone school, but we are in the middle of 2 zone schools, which is 111 and 51. We're on 48th Street between 8th and 9th. At our highest numbers, we average about 350 students. I think currently we're down in the 330s right now. We have 2 classes per grade level, so 2 in pre-K, 2 in kindergarten, all the way up to 5th grade. Our classes loop, which means that if your child comes through Midtown West starting in pre-K, they will have had 4 teachers, because pre-K is its kind of its own little animal. And, you know, anybody who's ever been around a pre-K kid knows why that is. And then they go into kindergarten. They stay with their kindergarten teacher through kindergarten and 1st grade. Then they go to 2nd grade for their new loop. They're with their new teacher for 2nd and 3rd grade. And then they do the same thing in 4th and 5th. We share a campus and a building with professional performing arts middle school and high school. And we can talk a little bit more about that in the spaces that we share. I will say, if you have to share a space with any middle and or high school in the city, this really is the one to share it with. The performers that are upstairs are, many of them are professional performers who are working in film, TV, Broadway. Yes, they are teenagers, so you will see some interesting outfits from time to time and maybe hear a little bit of colorful language, but they, like teenagers, forget sometimes that the little ones are around, and all you need to do is to remind them, and they're very respectful of us and our space. One of the ways that we make sure that we don't have crossover with the high schoolers is our arrival is on 47th Street. So we actually come in through the back gates and come up through the yard into the building, while the high school comes in on 48th Street. And we also dismiss there as well. Parents will come at dismissal time and walk up onto the deck and grab their kids and head back out the other side. Our arrival is 8:30 in the morning. We open the gates at 8:30. We keep the gates open until 8:40. We close them at 8:40 sharp. If you come in after 8:40, you have to come in on the 48th Street side and come in through security. And then pickup is at 2:50. So the back gates will open at 2:50, and it's the same thing. You come up on the deck, grab your kid and head out from there.
If your child needs after school extended daycare, we have that program. We'll talk about that in just a little bit. It's in our building, but they act as a separate company. So you'll contact them directly for everything, and we'll give you all of that contact information. Admissions, what everyone is needing to know. Admissions for pre-K and kindergarten goes through My Schools. It's a parent portal. The website, myschools.nyc. Sign in, make yourself an account. Offers are based on a combination of factors: the choices you list on your child's application, the seat availability at the programs you list, and your child's admissions priority at the program. So if there is no priority for living close to the school, this is not a zone school, as Kay mentioned. It's a District 2 choice school, but there is priority for siblings. So if you are a student here in pre-K, there is a priority to get to our kindergarten. And if you have a sibling that is in our school, there's also sibling priority.
I'm sorry, I apologize. Our gym teacher just walked in, so I just wanted to get him situated. Okay, so Midtown West philosophy. So we are a school that was created in partnership with Bank Street College. So we are a progressive school. It starts with something as basic as our students are on a first name basis with everyone in the building, including myself. I'm Kay. I'm not Miss Kay. I'm not Mrs. Lua. I'm just Kay. We find that allows us to have a relationship with the children in a way that we can really have deeper conversations with them, from academics to social and emotional as well. We don't celebrate holidays traditionally. So in the traditional sense of, we're not going to do hand paper turkeys and have Christmas trees and menorahs and things of that nature in the classroom. Having said that, we do talk about and study and research holidays in the social studies units that we'll talk about a little bit further down. So in kindergarten, for example, when they do the family study, when they come to your house, and yes, you will have 28 little kindergartners come to your house, you may talk about the holidays that you celebrate in your home and why you celebrate them. In 3rd grade, we do a deep dive into what the word culture is and what it means to families and what that looks like for different families. So holidays are studied They're just not celebrated in the traditional sense. And they are also celebrated as well. If you are doing a family study and, your family is, has latke cakes, you might bake them with the children, things of that nature. We do all of that as well. We are not a GNT program. 111 is our closest school that does have a GNT program in it, but we do believe all students are gifted and talented, and they each bring their own gifts to the classroom. So we focus in on those. And as I said earlier, we are a social studies based school in collaboration with Bank Street College, and I'll talk a little bit more about that. And there it is. So the idea of it being a social studies core curriculum is that we want children to learn about the world in everyday study. And we start off, and can you actually go to the next one that has the list for me so that I can see? There we go. Okay, so this is the concrete reasons and why, what we actually do. So in kindergarten is our home study. So they'll do home visits, they'll do mapping, Venn diagrams, they write books. They really get to know each other, and they get to know what a family looks like, and that families look different in every household. And then in first grade, we bring it out a little bit further. So for kindergarten, it's all about me. And then in first grade, it's about your neighborhood right around you. So they focus on restaurants or theaters, depending on which loop they're in. And they'll do a full study where they'll go out and they'll visit the theaters or they'll visit the restaurants, and they'll get to know all the jobs. And then what happens is they then have to apply for a job. We already have the board posting for our first graders right now for their theater study. They'll have to actually write a resume for the job that they want, and then the particular grades will either put on a restaurant or put on a play. And these are really big shows. The restaurant is, we had our superintendent in for a lunchtime. Our principals in the area from 51 and 111 will come over for our restaurants as well. They're really, really wonderful. And it really brings together, that's the culminating activity. Because the idea is we don't want to do just little mini studies. We really want it to be something that builds on itself all year long. So the kids are taking what they just learned and then putting it towards something new, and then adding that together, and then taking those two things and then adding them onto something else. And then we have this big culminating event that shows all of the ways that the children have incorporated that information. In second grade, we start to move out a little bit more. We do rural, suburban, and urban. And second and third grade was my niche for 18 years. It's one of my favorite ages and or curriculums. We start with New York City, and then we start to build out a little bit. So they'll go up to Tarrytown, or they'll go up to Irvington. They'll take the train up to see what it looks like in a real suburban area. And then when we start to look at rural, we take an overnight trip. Yes, we do take second graders on an overnight trip up to Frost Valley so they can see what a real rural area looks like. And then in third grade, we go out even further and start to look at the world. So, we have a pattern here. We start small, and we're building out, building out, building out, building out. And this is where we do studies of China and Africa. And they'll take, luckily for us, we're in New York City. So we have all these wonderful museums to go to. We have all these wonderful neighborhoods to visit that really bring us together and give us a piece of what these cultures are all about. And then in fourth grade, that's when we start to look back to long ago, because that's the point where kids can really start to understand what long ago means. You ask a kindergartner what long ago is, and they're going to tell you it was 2 days ago. When you hit fourth grade, they're a little better at having that conversation with you. So that's when they start talking about Pilgrims and the Mayflower, Native American, early colonization. They do a lot of role plays and putting on plays and things of that nature to learn more about what it was like to be part of that culture at that time. And then fifth grade is the 13 colonies, American Revolution, and then immigration, which then sets them up for when they go into middle school. Here we go. So for ELA, for reading and writing. So for many, many years, we were a teacher's college school. We are still this year, but we're transitioning out because the chancellor has decided that across the city, schools were going to, or districts were going to make a choice of one curriculum, 1 out of 3 curriculums. And our superintendent's office did a deep dive this year, had principals going to different districts in, different states and all over New York State as well, to look at the 3 different curriculums and decide which one they were going to choose. Lo and behold, they chose the Wit and Wisdom curriculum. Wit and Wisdom. Now, this is all part of the foundational literacy, the science of reading. And, we're going to talk more about what that means over the next year or two with families. We're all in this learning process together. So the Wit and Wisdom curriculum is each grade from K to 5. There's 4 units of study that are focused into the reading and writing curriculum. There are 5 pillars as far as the foundational, the science of reading: phonics, phonemic awareness, vocabulary, fluency, and comprehension. So for us, for the phonics component of it, we have begun work around foundations. And it's really wonderful because foundations leads directly into Wit and Wisdom. So it was a great choice for us to do that foundations curriculum because of the connection to Wit and Wisdom. It's a direct connection, so kids will be able to use exactly what they're learning in foundations and then transfer it over into the Wit and Wisdom. And the Wit and Wisdom is going to give us more of that vocabulary, fluency, and reading comprehension piece of it. Excuse me. There's also a series of GEOD books that go with it. It's really actually the more that I learn about it, the more amazing I'm finding it. So this year, our teachers will all be teaching 1 unit in Wit and Wisdom to prepare them for next year. We've already signed them all up for professional developments starting in January. And then next year, the DOE is also going to provide staff developers to come into the building and support us while we work. This year, we have a foundation staff developer who comes in, who's phenomenal. He comes with us for 1 day a month and then meets with the teachers and is teaching 2 of our teachers to be coaches in the building. For Wit and Wisdom, you have mini lessons, you have guided mini lessons, which is when the teacher's at the rug. Whoa, wait, go back for a sec. Is it timed out? Thank you. So for the mini lessons, they're at the rug with their teacher, and that's when they're getting the introduction to the core of what the lesson is. Then they go out to do their independent work. They may have some guided reading where and within the mini lesson, there's a shared reading, shared reading meaning that there's a text that all the children are seeing at the same time as the teacher. And then they may have some guided reading, which is when the teacher pulls small groups to work on different skills, depending on how children have been assessed and what they still need work on. Okay, sorry, go ahead. Our math curriculum is investigations. It also goes by Turk. It's a hands-on approach to mathematics for higher order thinking skills. The idea behind it is that children are not only taught the algorithm, and they are taught the algorithm because the algorithm is a standard way of working on mathematics. But the issue with just learning the algorithm is that children don't always understand place value with it because there's not a connection between the two. So the idea is that you build those concepts of place values so that when they start getting into the algorithm, they do understand that when you're borrowing, you're not really borrowing, you're breaking numbers up into different, to its different amounts and moving them around. We also have a math staff developer that comes in. She is from Reimagine, which is a company that is founded by Tony Cameron, and Tony Cameron has done a lot of work around mathematics. She wrote a series of units for a set called Context for Learning, which we also use as supplementary to investigation because no one curriculum is 100%. And Context for Learning will do things like take real world events and bring those into the classroom and have kids figure out the math around it. So for example, around November, when we have Thanksgiving, there is a unit called the Big Dinner, where the teacher will explain to the children that they are having a large dinner party and they need help figuring out how many pounds how big of a turkey to get, how much it's going to cost per pound so that they know how much to actually bring with them to the store. Same thing with their vegetables, their potatoes, their carrots and whatnot. And then once the children have figured all that out, that we will actually buy those materials and bring them into the school because we do have a kitchen on our floor, and they will then figure out, well, if it's this many pounds and at this temperature, for how many minutes do we have to cook it for? They then actually, with parent volunteers, the teachers will go into the family center and actually cook that dinner, and the kids will all sit together and share that big dinner. Specialty classes. We are blessed with having more specialty classes than most schools our size. We have a dedicated music teacher who is phenomenal. We have a gym teacher. We have a dedicated art teacher. We also have a librarian and a librarian on site. While science used to be a class that was taught outside of the classroom in its separate room for 3 through 5, that is now taught in the classrooms, but our assistant principal is a former science teacher. So we luckily have the expertise, and he meets with teachers regularly to plan with them and get their units together and make sure they have all the supplies. So while science is taught in the classroom, it is taught, and it's actually taught very well. We've had our Bank Street staff developer, because we also have one from Bank Street as well, who worked with our teachers, our K-2 teachers, years ago to create units that fit directly with our social studies units. So for example, in the restaurant study, we will have a, I'm not going to remember the name of it. What kind of gardener? When they grow, Diana, in the classroom.
Horticulture?
Yeah, but I don't remember what it's called. They have the setup with the lights. I'm not going to remember.
The hydroponics.
Thank you. They have the hydroponics. As you can see, I'm not a science teacher. They have the hydroponics that's set up with our assistant principal and the teachers, and they actually grow the kale and the lettuce and the salad components that are then served in the restaurant. So again, there's that putting that all together, and for kids to see the connection between why we're doing something and why it's important. Clubs. We just had clubs yesterday. So we have a clubs program. We do it from grades 1 to 5 because we've learned pre-K again, own little animal. And for kindergarten, they're just a little bit too young to maneuver around the building and be in different rooms very early on in the year. But the idea behind clubs is that teachers wanted an opportunity to get to know children who were not in their class or in their loop, and kids could get to know kids from other classes and other grades as well. So teachers will choose a subject or a specialty or a hobby, for example, computer art, newspaper woodworking. Cooking is probably the most popular club in the building because when you cook, you get to eat what you have cooked. And on Tuesday mornings at 9:40, the hallways burst into sounds of children just wonderfully excited going to their clubs. They spend a period with these other children from other classes and other grades as they learn to do these different things, and they get to know the other teachers as well. It's something that was here before I got here, and I've been here 25 years, and it's something that we've worked really hard to make sure that we continue to keep because it is so beneficial for the community within our school and for our teachers for our kids to see teachers in a different light, and for our teachers to see kids in a different light as well. School trips. Midtown West goes on a lot of school trips. Because we are social studies based, and I know I keep saying that it's on a loop, a lot of our information that we get for children comes from them actually being a part of the research and not just reading it in a book or seeing it in a video. Not that those things aren't important and we don't do those as well, but we find it's more beneficial for kids if they're actually a part of the learning process themselves. So depending on the year you're in, for kindergarten, for home study, children go to every family has a home visit. If for some reason you cannot have it in your home, because we have had that happen where homes have been under construction or whatever the case may be, then you set that up with your teacher and you do it in the classroom. But the idea is that you are sharing your culture and your family life with these children so that they can learn about who you are. First grade, if it's restaurant, they're out at the restaurants, once or twice a month, sometimes 3 times. Same thing with the theater, so that they can really understand and know what's going on in those spaces and understand what it makes to make those work. Second grade, same thing. When you're studying around the neighborhood, they're walking around the neighborhood, they're taking trips to different places within the city. Same thing in 3rd grade as well. And then also the museums, as I mentioned, and then Frost Valley. We have 2 overnight places that we go to. 2nd and 3rd grade go to Frost Valley, and 4th and 5th grade go to Ashokan. The Ashokan trip those 2 trips are also directly connected to the social studies as well. Go ahead. teachers at Midtown West. I know I am biased when I say this, but in my opinion, they are some of the very best teachers that you will find in New York City. They're dedicated not only to their work to students, but working with families as well. They work tirelessly to be in contact with families and make sure families feel welcome within our building. Every grade has a classroom website so that families can get in touch with them. Teachers have different ways of communicating. Every grade has a different way. Some may email, some, many have Google numbers because that's the new phase of technology, I guess, so that families can call if they have a question or a comment. The teachers will respond back at the end of the day or when they have a prep period, which means when the kids are out at art or music or that type of thing. And in the beginning of the year, you'll find out over the summer, actually, you'll find out what the preferred type of communication is, because in late August, early September, every teacher, every grade will send a letter out to families giving them information. Most will update their websites weekly, and then others will send out weekly letters, which I do that as well, and we'll talk a little bit about that. We have curriculum meetings for every single grade at the beginning of the year, so that teachers can walk you through what's happening. And then throughout the year, different grades will have different types of meetings to let you know. For example, first grade just had a meeting with parents because they're gearing up to start getting ready for their show. So they, need parent volunteers, want to let parents know what's going on, any changes to the website, so they have all of that. We have You Talk, I Listen meetings in the beginning of the year. That is a 10 or 15-minute meeting where you sit down with your teacher. Your teacher says nothing. The purpose of this meeting is for you to talk and them to listen. And the idea is that you are the expert on your children, and there might be things that you need us to know to make things an easier transition for your child. And it could be something as simple as, my child is not a morning person. Believe it or not, for a teacher to know that makes all the difference in the world, because some of our teachers are very excited in the morning, and that doesn't work for some kids, and that's fine. But if a teacher knows it ahead of time, then they know not to approach with too much energy until around 9 o'clock in the morning. Again, so we have pre-K. Our pre-K is the creative curriculum. This is a curriculum that was, again, chosen from the district, and our teachers took it on this year, and they've done a phenomenal job with it. There's mini units within it because for pre-K, attention span and just wanting them to get as much knowledge as they can, they do it over, I believe it's like 4 to 6 week span of time. And we just actually did a unit on clothing, and their culminating event was a fashion show. So they turned our family center into a runway. And 1 week we had a parent fashion show where the parents came in and walked the runway for the kids so they could see it. And then the following week, the children had been working with, we had an outside person from a museum for children do a clothing unit with our kids, and they created some clothes, and then the kids walked the runway with their own fashions, and parents got to see that as well. Our two pre-K teachers, one of them was a former K1 teacher for 8 years, so she is very familiar with what kids need moving up. And our other teacher, while he also taught pre-K, was a 4 or 5 teacher for a long time as well. So they really have an understanding and a span of what children need to know and when they need to know it by. Let's see, I think I talked about, yes, I talked about all the loops. Okay. We have a lot of community events because we enjoy being together as a community. We have a hoedown in the beginning of the year that is run by our gym teacher, and that's out in our yard, and we have everyone come out, and the children are taught dances. I don't want to say, I guess, square dances, some square dances, some cultural dances, up in the gym. And he teaches every grade a dance. And then we have a caller with a band, and it's a parent band. So anybody who joins, if you play an instrument, let us know. We have a parent band who plays, and we have a caller who comes, and he calls all the dances for us. And every grade gets to dance. And then we have an open call for about a half hour where families just all dance together before it gets too dark and we have to head out. We have a winter concert and a spring concert, and this is where you really get to see the talents of our music teacher. He is phenomenal, and just the shows that he puts on is just really wonderful. Now, we know the kids could just get up there and just sing anything and look adorable, and we would all love them because that's what we do. But he really brings it to another level for the children and for the parents. We do an MLK celebration. That's during our community meetings, which we actually don't have on here. We do a community meeting, so twice a month we invite parents for each grade, and actually any parent can come in for community meeting, but at each week each meeting a different grade hosts. And again, it's another way for the community to know what's going on in classrooms and what children are learning about. So for example, we just had first grade who presented last week, and they presented on the work that they've done in their theater study up until this point. So at one of our community meetings, we will do an MLK celebration, and we'll spend the month of February really doing some activities in the classroom and doing some readings about him and just learning about social justice and the importance of social justice. With that, we attempt to schedule every year a cultural potluck so that families can then bring food in, and we can sit and break bread and just learn about each other and learn more about each other. I think, what am I missing? Throughout the year, writing, oh, right. Along with academic celebrations, writing celebrations, math celebrations, things of that nature. So we do have special education services. If your child is coming in with an IEP, we have sets. We have ICTs currently in second grade and in fifth grade. We're working to get more, but again, it has to do with the number of children with ICT on their IEP. So, as that increases, then we'd be able to open up another ICT. We have speech, we have language, we have PT, we have OT. So if you are accepted and you choose a spot at Midtown West and your child has an IEP, please let us know right away so that we can schedule whatever services they are requiring of us. Our lunch is, I'm smiling because usually I'm downstairs serving lunch at this moment with our cook, Maria, who is phenomenal. She is, she just takes, as she said, every time a child walks up, come on, baby, what do you need? Let me get it for you. And she will give them whatever they need, as much as they need, to make sure that, her children are fed, because they are all her children. Every child is entitled to free breakfast and free lunch. We have many kids who come in and eat their home lunch and then see what Maria has made for lunch and comes up and gets school lunch on top of it. So no child is turned away for any reason. Because we are, and here's one of the perks about having a high school in the building, we get the high school express hot lunch. So we actually have more choices than other schools when it comes to the different types of food that children can have. Classrooms have snack because kids get hungry, and so do their teachers. And they'll coordinate donations from families, either a monthly donation where the family will bring in a month's worth of snack, or what we've done over the past is we have a kitty and everybody throws in whatever they can monetary wise, and then the teachers will purchase through Amazon, because we found that over the years we've had more and more kids with allergies, and we had a few teachers who were concerned about the types, for a parent who doesn't have a child with an allergy, they may not be reading the labels the same way a parent with a child with allergies would. So we just want to make sure we're covering all our bases. We do not have busing service to and from school unless your child has it on their IEP. But we do have Metro cards. So if families live far enough away, we can assign a Metro card to them. Extended day. I miss working extended day. Extended day, it's on-site, tuition-based after-school program. Children go directly from the classroom down to the extended day program, and they're in from our 2:50 dismissal time till 5:30 when it's pickup. We do not, Midtown West does not run extended day in any way, shape, or form. Two of our school aides are actually the heads of the extended day program. Their information is here. So if you are interested, when you accept a seat at Midtown West, you would email them. They'll send you the paperwork. You can take a look at the classes. There's dance class, there's violin, there's sports, there's homework. Most of the classes are taught by Midtown West teachers. Most of the staff that works there are former Midtown West graduates. I think probably 95% of, and I say kids because they are unfortunately young enough to be my kids, and many of them were my former students. Most of them are former Midtown West students. They usually come back in high school to volunteer, and then once they finish and they go back to college, they come and work at Midtown West either during their breaks, or if they're going to school in the city, they'll do it after school. So
Hey,
it's
this is a great slide for everyone to take a little screenshot of so they have that information too, so they can reach out directly. If you reach out to us about extended day, we'll send you right to them. So really, if you have questions throughout the year, before school starts, and the answer is, can my kid go to Midtown, go to extended day? Yes, they're not really turning people away. And it's, you can go, as Kay said, every day of the week or certain days of the week, or you can just drop in and say, next Thursday, I have an appointment. And you just let them know, and they're going to help you out with that. They're really
You
terrific.
do have to be registered before you do that, though. You have to make sure your child's registered. But you are also able, because Alan and Stephanie both work in the office during the day, if your child goes on Monday and it's Tuesday and you have an appointment, you realize it, you can call the office and just say, hey, Alan, can my child stay in extended day today? So it's not a matter of having to wait until 3 o'clock to speak to someone in the office. Oh, this is you, Diana.
All right, PTA and parent involvement. Well, the exciting news is that as your child gets accepted to Midtown West, you are automatically a part of the PTA. This is not an exclusive club. This is not something that you have to hope that you get chosen for. You are a part of it as soon as you enter the school, and we are excited to have your involvement, and you can be as involved in your child's education and schooling as you would like to be. Meetings for the PTA are held once a month on Zoom to accommodate the most number of parents. So even if you're cooking dinner or the family's sitting down to have dinner, once a month, we ask you to just, you can open up the laptop, put us right on the dinner table, and everyone can listen in. That's a great way to stay involved. We encourage everyone to attend that once a month meeting. There are other ways to be involved. You can be a classroom representative, class reps. There's like 1 to 4 in each classroom who help out with classroom tasks. One of those tasks is snack. It might be volunteering for trips or overnights. You may be asked to come in and read a favorite story or volunteer at events. We have leadership that you can be involved with if you are someone that wants to come in and really help make things happen. We have an executive board, the PTA exec board, and we also have the SLT, the school leadership team. Both of those are elected positions, and that usually happens at the end of the year for the next year. So you might not find a seat available as soon as you come in your first year, but it's a great way to attend these meetings and then jump on board the following year. We have committees that you can be involved with, diversity committee. We have a grant writing committee, which is doing such great work. We have a library committee and a mentor committee. So if you apply to pre-K or kindergarten and are accepted with an offer, you'll have a mentor that's assigned to you. They have events over the summer, a playground event, an adult-only event at a local pub, and it's you start the first day already having someone that's a friendly face, that's a friend that you can go to and say, wait, where is this? When do I pick up? And it's a really great way to have like a buddy system here. We also have a community closet for our families in need that I spearhead, but we do have families that come in and help me organize things throughout the year. So that's really helpful. School supplies. I wanted to mention because when your child comes to Midtown West, all they need to arrive with is a backpack. All school supplies are generously provided by the PTA. The PTA helps pay for so much, and once you start school here, we'll tell you all about that and how you can help them provide terrific things for our children. We want you to stay connected while you are at Midtown West. There are many ways that you can do that. Kay was mentioning that she does a weekly email to families. We ask that on Friday nights, you grab that email, take 2 to 3 minutes, read the whole thing from top to bottom. It's always broken out into different sections so people know exactly where to go for new things, reminders, calendar dates are at the bottom. So it's a great way to really, most of the questions that you're going to have for us are going to be in that email. A lot of people help put that letter together. You can get involved with the PTAs we talked about. You can join us for community meetings, which Kay talked about. Those are twice a month. Those are in the mornings, and you can join us in person in the auditorium till about 9:15 in the morning, or you can throw in headphones and we stream it as well, and you can listen on your way to work or while you're sitting at work. You can chaperone a class trip like we mentioned, or you can join the exec board or the SLT like we mentioned. We try and make it communication. We try to be very good about communication. So we have something called Operu, and that might be new to you now, but as your child moves through middle school and high school in the public system, almost half of the schools use Operu. All parents are assigned an Operu account when they register at school. It's our communication system that allows us to send emails, trip slips. You can even fill out all your registration forms online. You can literally register for school on your phone. It takes about 20 minutes to half an hour. And you take pictures of all the proofs and things like that. It makes life very simple for everyone. It's another tool in our toolbox that helps parents keep in touch with what's going on at school. Okay, that brings us I will recap and say that admissions for pre-K and kindergarten goes through My Schools. That's myschools.nyc.